children. Bring all the children. Let's all go around the fire. I've got a story. I've got a story to tell. A story you know well. The story of laughter, wonder, and love. The story of kittens and rainbows inside. Paula, Paula, you make me high. Paula, Paula, I know we could fly. We could fly above, higher than anyone can be. The story of laughter and wonder and love. The story of kittens and rainbows inside. Paula, oh Paula, sent from above. Paula, oh Paula, you know I love. I love you so. Paula, you make me high to the heaven. We'll go
heroes are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go! All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. Oh, you seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again, you gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over, it's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. Roller coaster. I want to go down the rabbit
Come on, Bob.
hole.
Come on,
Down
guys.
the rabbit hole of life.
Oh, I brought that cat.
And now
Brought it all this way so I could wear it when I get off.
to leave. Oh, roller coaster.
Walk without my hand. Oh. Boy, the ground is just wet. I think it rained more than it has in a long time or something, because that road looks pretty bad out here. Thousands of acres out here. BLM. This is all BLM land. Well, maybe we could just sit here on this hickory stump. Boy, let me tell you what. Well, we could probably sit here, but it ain't the most beautiful place in the world to sit. But it's alright, isn't it? And the wind's blowing right through. Don't know what it's going to be like for you guys to hear what I'm saying. But here's the deal, guys. I don't even know where to begin with this. You know, I've been trying all kinds of things for years about health, trying to understand what health is and good health and what to eat and what not to eat. I was just telling Paula last night, if I knew now what I if I knew then what I knew now when my mother was alive, she would never have died. She would never have. She died of supposedly breast cancer, but I've discovered what causes all the diseases, and I know everybody always says that, and I've probably said that before too, and honed in on one aspect or another, but I've kind of been going down these same lines for a long time, but I've got it. I've figured it out. I really have. I was telling you about the einkorn a while back, and that's the key, really, that einkorn. And a lot of you are probably thinking, oh, right, come on, Dave, some miracle food. Can't just live on einkorn, Dave. Well, you know something? I want to explain to you how I've come to understand what's going on in your stomach. Let me say that the stomach is the most important part of your body. And, you could say the liver, you could say the kidneys and so forth, pancreas, all of this is in your gut or near your gut, and that area is where the food goes through. And if you don't put poison in your gut and you put only food in your gut, well, you will be healthy. But let me tell you what food is, and this is probably the biggest part, probably the biggest problem, that people don't know what food is. Even if you just say, well, it's simple, go out in nature, there's food everywhere, it's natural things, whole foods, wild berries and nuts. But all right, why and how do you get this stuff? And remember, people have been eating grain, berries, and nuts for thousands of years. But in the days of Jesus and the apostles, they had mostly, what I'm told, they had emmer, spelt, and later on they developed a durum. I'm not sure exactly when they invented that. Now you can get that readily, easily at the store, durum. You can get it already made into pasta. A lot of the pasta at the store is made from whole wheat durum. You can get that at Walmart. And if you just eat that, you will improve your health immediately. But there's a few other things you need to know. And I mean, this is serious business. And if you don't believe me, man, listen to this whole thing. Health is something that happens naturally in the body. As long as everything is natural, your body will keep you in complete health and perfect health. And I believe this. Now, this is the part I don't know. Could we live forever if we ate the exact right diet and lived properly? Would we live forever? I don't know. I think so. But that's just my theory. That's, we'll have to see. I'm going to try it. I don't ever plan on dying. I never have. But what could you possibly do that someone else hasn't already done, Dave? Nobody else has ever lived beyond, 100 and something years? And then you ask them, and they don't know what they did. I smoked cigars all my life. 102 now. Right? Drank like a fish. Ate a lot of candy, too. People like that. Chain smoker, lived to be almost 100. But I guess I need to explain how I have become aware that there's something going on that you need to know about. And if you know it and you understand this, you will be able to live forever, or at least a long, long time. I know you can prevent all of the diseases. So if you ever died, you'd just be dying of something like loneliness, or I don't know how you would die without, because I've never known of anyone who ever died that didn't die with some disease. They call it old age, but they died of cancer or diabetes or rheumatoid arthritis. But these are diseases. Now, most, our society and everything, and a lot of you might not want to believe me what I'm going to say next, but I don't believe in all these diseases, and I believe they're all caused from the same thing. And let's just take cancer, for instance. You got a lot of people that have said they thought cancer was caused by some kind of a fungus. There are some people who believe it is some bacteria in the gut, some other bacteria, but it could be bacteria and fungus. And some believe that it's from eating certain foods, carcinogenic foods or something. And there's various viewpoints. I'll tell you, all of those are true. It's caused from bacteria, but let's call it this so you can understand it a little bit better. Because it may be, I don't know specifically what bacteria. Not sure that it is any specific bacteria. But we know that the Bible talks about parasites, bugs and things, causing disease. That Yahweh sent the plagues on them. And it was always these locusts and gnats and frogs and flies and things like this. So there are some who believe it's some kind of a parasite. And this is probably even kind of proven by the fact that people are using ivermectin, which is to get rid of certain parasites, and it seems to cure people a lot of the times of cancer. Well, okay, so that's similar to the fungus idea. But then others, and I have said that it's all because of your gut. As long as you have your gut working fine, your liver, you're not going to ever get sick. But here's the thing, the liver gets rid of infection. That's what the liver does. It gets rid of infection. But, we say stuff like that, and the greatest of minds say stuff like that. And you think, oh, wow, they're so smart. They know about the liver. But you've got to understand what's going on. All the food goes into your gut. If you don't have enough water, moisture, and it may be because you're not eating food that has moisture, like fruit and things. And if you don't drink a lot of fluids like I do, and I drink mostly coffee, even though I'm not sitting around drinking pure mineral water, but I am drinking fluid, and that's important that you drink fluid. Probably preferable that you drink a lot of mineral water, but I don't think there's anything wrong with teas or coffees either. But you got to have a lot of moisture, because if you get dehydrated, people talk about this dehydration, and they talk about cellular dehydration and so forth. But what they're not understanding is if you have hydration in your gut, you're not going to have cellular dehydration. And so it all depends on just getting your gut dehydrated properly. There are a lot of animals that all they eat is vegetation. They don't even drink. Like, I don't know what a snake does. There's no snake water around here. They survive. I don't know what they eat. Maybe they get all their moisture from eating mice. The blood in the mice. I don't know where they get, all their water. Maybe they do get water from time to time. And a lot of things, like rabbits, they don't seem to have a lot of water all the time. They get it from time to time when it rains, puddles up. Maybe they live by a stream. But I know a lot of rabbits that don't live by any streams out in Wyoming and Idaho, in the desert. But they eat a lot of grass. They eat a lot of things that has moisture in it. They love roots and things, and there's moisture in the plants. So the best way to eat is to eat moisturized food that's alive. But if you eat grain like bread that's been baked in the oven and it doesn't have really any water in it, it's moist a little bit because you put butter in it and stuff, but for the most part, there's no water in the bread. You must have water with your meals. Throughout the day, you have to have water. You have to have that, not just for hydration. That's very important. What people aren't understanding is that even more important than that is that when your gut doesn't move because it's dehydrated, then you're going to get plugged up. And I think the way that we get plugged up, and I think you need to understand this because I've been experimenting with my own body for a long, long time. And I can tell you that in every case, and Paula knows all of this because she's been a healthcare worker for her entire life. She's a healer and she knows all of this, and she's been helping me to understand this too. But when your gut isn't hydrated enough, it starts slowing down. And even if you just slow it down and you're not completely, I mean, if you got plugged up for good, you'd be done, right? Then you're going to have to drink a bunch of water, prunes, and laxatives or whatever, try to get yourself going again. Can you imagine there's a lot of people that are in that state most of the time? They just can't go to the bathroom. Do you know that everybody that ever dies, no matter how old they are, they went to the hospital, they died, and they're like, well, we don't know. They just died of some disease. Any disease comes from some other disease. And it all stems from the liver or the gut not working properly. The liver's got to make stem cells or you don't rebuild your body. Your liver's got to get rid of infection or else you're going to die. So, if you're slowing down, then remember, these juices and fluids will go through your liver at about the same rate because your liver doesn't take waste. It's more like nutrients and juices that's going to go through and go into your bloodstream, and it goes from your liver and then throughout your entire body. It's like a filter. If your liver's not filtering out the infection, there's lots of bacteria and there's lots of problems in this world. I hope this wind isn't causing it so I can't be heard very well. This is important stuff I'm saying here. But it sure is windy up here on this hill. I really think I'm probably not getting... Let me check to see what this sounds like and I'll be right back. Alright, well, there is a lot of wind, but I can still hear me. I don't know what to do. I'm going to go ahead and sit here and keep talking. But, okay, I don't know exactly where we were, but if your bloodstream isn't clean and pure and providing you with nutrients, then you're going to die. I mean, that's the basic thing right there. So if your gut, if you're constipated, and a lot of people are, and older people are all constipated, and it's not because they're old. It's because they have eaten bad foods for a long enough period of time that they've got caked gook inside of their gut. There could be 20 pounds of garbage in there. And even if it does, little bits here come out, over time, sometimes you get a little better. Later on, you get a little worse again. And, still, you may have enough of this matter impacted in there, up in the crannies and cracks of your colon and places and it's slowed down enough that you're backing up this stuff and it's in there putrefying. And this is causing bad bacteria. And this is a infection. This is poisons. And so your liver will try to clean up all these poisons because you're not going to the bathroom. But it's going into your blood. Now, your liver will save your life, but if you don't immediately figure out what to do about getting your, things moving, it's going to fail. And this usually happens as you get older. And this is why people die. Most people, when they die, they're very overweight. And if they're not, they may be thin, but you look at their gut and it's just huge. They have a big gut. And doctors never, ever tell you, you know what, all you got to do is, back in the day, they would give you teas and herbs and enemas, or the Chinese doctors would put warm towels on your belly with herbs and stuff and draw out poisons that way, or massaging your side, your belly, pushing everything in your colon down to loosen it up. And you might have to do that. But one thing you can do is drink a bunch of prune juice, a lot of juices, carrot juice, and just fruit and vegetable juices for a couple of days. Fasting works really good, but I think it's actually, if you aren't healthy, probably instead of fasting immediately, it's probably better to go to several days of just drinking juice. You've got to get hydrated, loosen everything up, and then get to where you can go to the bathroom. Your stool's got to be in the right consistency. That's important. It's so important, guys. Because when you're being backed up, all that infection's going through your liver, and eventually your liver can't keep going. And even your liver can get plugged up. If your liver quits and shuts down, you are going to die. But if you've still got a decent liver, you may just have everything all backed up. This is what's causing arthritis. This is what's causing cancer, because if your gut gets completely screwed up, bad bacteria going on, nothing's going out, things caked in the corners and stuff, spreading more infections and bacteria, then you're going to be in a constant state of, people have candidias throughout their body. Why? Doesn't the liver fix all that candidias? Well, if the people tell you, well, if your liver's working, but you see you're old, so you got candidias, nothing you can do about it. No, it has nothing to do with being old. I don't care how old you are. Your liver will reproduce itself in something like 2 weeks. There's nothing wrong with your liver. It's not that. It's that you don't drink enough moisture. You're not eating the right foods. We're not even talking about the poisons right now. The glyphosate that's in all of the wheat products and the grains and everything that's in your pizza and your breads and your canned foods and all these poisons. Glyphosate is one of the biggest problems that's killing everybody. We're going to talk about that in a minute. You got to get rid of all wheat products. Not, it doesn't matter if it's organic wheat. Get rid of wheat. Wheat has 64 chromosomes. And it's supposed to have 8 or 14. It's like that hydrogenated oil that's a long chain molecular structure. Body can't absorb it. But back to this. So if you're not eating fruit and vegetables, you're not getting moisture in a way that your body's supposed to have moisture. Not only that, you're not drinking enough water, and you're not drinking the right water, mineral water, on a consistent basis. And you're not eating foods that can be absorbed, poison foods. All of this is contributing to this infection in your gut, which is ruining your liver. But it's not ruining the liver. It's just plugging it up. You can unplug it. You can need a Roto-Rooter. A Roto-Rooter for your liver is simply either fasting with juices to get it flowing, cleaned out, days of cleaning out your colon with juices, enemas. But on a regular basis, if you haven't got that bad yet, you don't need an enema, then you're going to have to start drinking something, teas and juices and vegetables and fruits. And if you have the right consistency of moisture in your gut, then it's moving properly at the pace that it's supposed to. And any bacteria that may come along, because remember, bacteria doesn't really start going for several days. You put some grape juice and some yeast in there and put it out to make wine. It's not going to make wine for the first few days. It's going to start, going along maybe a week later. And it starts fermenting. So in your gut, it does ferment, and you need some fermentation in your gut, proper fermentation to make certain bacteria. Vitamin B12 and all these vitamin Bs come from fermentation. And the taurine and the lysine and all these other words that are things you can't get, they claim, if you're a vegetarian. Yes, you can. You get it the same way that cows get it. You don't have to eat meat. It's made in your stomach. Most people, literally, their stomach is not even half what it should be. In some people, it's like 1/10 of function. And so that means that within 10 years or so, you're going to die. You know, and if it gets real bad, you're going to die right away. And if you go to the doctor, they have no clue. They don't, you know, understand that all this disease is caused by this infection. So your stomach starts getting holes because the acid, your liver's not making the proper stomach acid. And the food's burning a hole through your gut. It's not just sitting there and rotting. You get a little, what they call leaky gut. And everybody's probably got a lot of this. If they're living in this world, if you're eating potato chips and white bread and pizza and you're not drinking enough moisture, no fruit and vegetables, then you probably have leaky gut. Might not even know it for a long time, just a lot of indigestion and bloating and, you know, a lot of arthritis and, you know, I don't know, it's all this inflammation. Where's the inflammation coming from? Infection, that's it. Food don't cause inflammation. Food don't cause this. Being backed up and having poisons, but mostly being backed up with no water in your gut. So, yeah, your cells aren't being hydrated either, but you can't even get to the point where your cells are proper. You're just down here literally in such pain and inflamed. The poison goes right into your bloodstream because the liver can't take the bacteria and the poisons out. It's just getting in there too fast. There's just too much buildup of infection. It's going into your blood, and that's killing you. That's all that all these diseases are. Blood diseases, immune deficiencies. It's all because of this infection. So if you get a little hole in your gut, it leaks. And you don't die normally. You can. But it'll start leaking. Immediately the body will make it grow some, like this little, a cyst around it, so that all this poison goes into this little bag. That's called a tumor or a cyst. Either way, they're both kind of the same thing, same principle. This is why sometimes people say, well, they've got a tumor, but it's benign. Oh, okay, well then it's all right. Well, then later on, someday it could become cancerous. But why does it become cancerous? What is cancer? It is when this infection that's in this tumor that's encysted in there, so it doesn't go throughout your body and in your bloodstream, to try and save your life, but you don't ever fix your liver and your gut, so it just stays in there for a long, long time. And your body keeps making a bigger sack, and it keeps holding all this poison. Some of the poison is being stored in your fat cells. It's making fat to store it in there. And your gut's getting big, you get in fatty liver, fatty gut. So your body has different managing ways to get rid of this infection, to try and save your life, but eventually you just won't be able to survive. And you see somebody in the hospital, they're just laying there dying. They say, oh, it's cancer, nothing we can do about it. Cancer is simply a big sack of infection that is just gotten to the point where you can't combat it anymore. Your bloodstream is just too infected. The candidus, the fungus, the bacteria throughout your entire body, right? The blood's not moving, probably because it's plugged up plaque, evil garbage all the way through. Your veins aren't open, so the blood's not even moving. And maybe that's a good thing because it's just poison blood. This is the key. This is it, friends. I hope you understand what I'm saying. If you understand this, that you've got to have good stools every day. And now here's the way to do that. Vegetables and fruits and plenty of moisture and water, like we said, mineral water. But never eat bread because there's glyphosate in it. And never eat genetically modified food because there's biocide in the actual food. That's why they've genetically put the biocide right in the food. poison. Guys, you can go down to Safeway. I just found this out. Safeway has, the whole store is nothing but organic. There's organic, non-GMO corn on the cob. There's non-GMO, organic, everything in there. Spinach, chard, kale, all organic, non-GMO. Grapes and fruits and bananas and apples and everything organic and non-GMO. The whole store is full of this amazing food. It's a lot more expensive, but you must have this organic food. You must not eat corn that is genetically modified. Soy is genetically modified. Wheat is genetically modified, or at least hybridized. And the chromosomes and the molecular structure cannot be absorbed. That's number one. But on top of all that, most everything you're eating is bread. We'll just say bread and many other things. But everything's being sprayed with glyphosate. I just looked up on the thing yesterday. When glyphosate was introduced into this food process, I thought, well, probably just recently. My mother probably never even heard of this. She went to the store and got lettuce or carrots or onions or, whatever, corn, and probably had no worries. Maybe they had genetically modified corn then too, but I don't know. I'll have to look when that started. But do you know they started putting the glyphosate in 1976 or something? And it was just some foods. And then by 1997, all the food has it. It is a direct poison. So some of you are like, I don't understand. I'll go for weeks where my back hurts and I don't feel good and bloating and just tired and brain fog. And then I get a little better and in a couple of weeks I feel better. Well, what the cycle is the poison that you eat will be plugged up in your gut, not going through, bloating, then you get the poisons, then you get the infection, then your liver's not getting it out of your blood, then your blood's infected, then you've got this inflammation throughout your body. So your joints are inflamed. Think if your joints are inflamed, think of your brain. Your body has mechanisms. It tries to keep this stuff from your brain. But listen, if all your blood's infected, eventually you're going to get this infection throughout your body. And it's just how much infection does it take to kill you? Well, you can try if you want to find out how much. Just feel bloated and sick and have arthritis and go another month of just eating the same garbage. And then you'll just die. Or start doing the juices and the fasting, purge it, detox, and then start on a diet with just einkorn. You can buy it. Einkorn is never genetically modified. It's all organic. All the einkorn, because these little farmers are the only ones that make it. You can get emmer, spelt, but always get non-GMO, organic, and make your breads, your pancakes, your pizza, your noodles with that. And if you can't do it right now, you have to learn to do it. But if you can't do it right now, go to the store and get your Durham, whole wheat Durham noodles. And until you can learn how to, or go find this flour that's organic and non-GMO, until you can get some, like einkorn, just eat those noodles. Order it, and when it comes in, make you some bread. If you don't know how to make bread, make tortillas, make pancakes out of it. Use a good farm, chicken raised on a farm eggs to make your pancakes and stuff and your cakes. Now, here's another thing. If you can't get the einkorn, if you can't get the emmer or spelt or the ancient grains, you can if you live in a town where there's a Safeway, you could probably get, something. But here's an alternative, and it's just about as good. At Safeway, and I don't know if they have this at Albertsons. I've only seen it because I went to Safeway a couple days ago. They have a lot of organic stuff, as I said, but they have a rye flour that is organic and non-GMO. Now, the reason I say, they have wheat too, but you don't want to get that because it's got 64 chromosomes. You can't digest it. It's genetically modified, or it's at least hybrid. But the rye only has 14 chromosomes. And that's almost as good as you can get. That's almost as good as the einkorn. It might not be as ancient a strain, but if it is not manipulated, then it's good for you. A rye is a good flour that you can buy at Safeway. Make your pancakes, your breads, and everything with that until you can order some einkorn, emmer, or spelt. And that will cure you. And drink mineral water or teas, coffee, milk, but you need moisture. Drink fruit juices when you're plugged up. Prunes, apples. You need fiber. You need moisture. This is it. This is the key. I guarantee it. As soon as your gut is flowing, I always give this illustration. You see a river, and there's a water coming down the river, and on both sides of the river, on the banks, is all this green grass, bushes, trees, fruits, animals are all thriving. The river stops flowing, and all that green vegetation and trees and bushes and grass dies. If you're not moisturized in your gut and it's not flowing, you're going to die. And that is what causes cancer. Yep, causes cancer. Cancer is caused by infection. Yep. Caused by bacteria. Yep. But what's causing that? Bad food. Yep. Not enough water. Yep. All those things causes cancer. Ultimately, you're not drinking water and vegetables and things. That's what's going to cause cancer. But it might not be enough to, it'll cause the cancer even when you're young, but it might not kill you for a while. But it gets worse and worse. And the more you get addicted to these evil foods, the more you will also get worse and worse. And the whole while you think, well, I'm just dying. It's a disease. The disease just eventually takes you out. It's just there's nothing to do. It's an accident. I caught it from somebody. No, you don't catch it from nobody. Friends, you must, if you are, look, I don't know who I'm saying this for, but I'm going to tell you, somebody out there, I'm going to give two scenarios. You could be somebody that's several hundred pounds. You could be all the way up to a point where you are now having dialysis, or you got a tube up your nose, or you got to be helped to breathe. You can't walk. You can't hardly even move. Well, what you need to do immediately, you say you might be 60 years old. Say, well, I'm just old, Dave, but I'm just going to die. I'm just going to lay here and die. I can't take this anymore. So this is what you got to do. I want you to go on a juice fast, or just drink juice. If you have to eat something, do it very sparingly. Maybe a banana or some fruit. But get to where you can just spend, do it one day just by saying, okay, I'm not going to eat breakfast. Trick yourself. By noon, say, okay, I've already made it this far. I'm going to go all the rest of the day. Do one day of nothing but water if you can. But if you can't, start off with juice. But if you can't do that, then just eat a bunch of prunes and things to try and get, drink a lot of water, fruit juices, even with the food you're eating. And start getting your bowel movements going. Once you get your bowel movements going, and be consistent, keep doing that. All the while cutting back on all of these poisons. I mean, if you really want to live, you need to cut back on all poison. No more wheat. No more wheat whatsoever, or corn. Corn and wheat, or soy. So you say, what am I going to eat, Dave? Well, like I said, go get you some einkorn. If you can't do that, go to Safeway, get some rye, put it in a bowl, crack an egg, whoop it up with some baking powder, salt, and a little water, and make a pancake. You like pancakes? Put some blueberries on it and eat that pure einkorn. And just eat that for a while. You should stop eating meat. Meat, if you think about meat this way. If you leave meat out on the table, it's not refrigerated. Even if it is refrigerated, it won't last very long. Maybe 3 or 4 days, it'll start, you'll see worms in it and stuff. But lay it out on the table, and it's not going to last but maybe a couple, 4 hours. It's going to start spoiling. And the longer it sits there, you see all these bugs in it. It's putrid. It's infection. It's parasites. You say, well, yeah, but your body, has acids and that all gets eaten. Oh, all right, but listen, there are parasites in meat. Now, take fruit. Well, it has bacteria and maybe even parasites, right? But you lay a fruit out on the table and let it spoil, and it either turns to vinegar or it ferments and turns into wine. Both of which your body doesn't mind. It's not a bad thing. Fruits and vegetables primarily don't putrefy and stink like that. They might turn to a vinegar and they might turn to a wine, and yeah, they can go bad. I mean, you leave them out, let the gnats fly on them and all of this, of course. But if you were to put them in a bag where they didn't get any flies on them or something and just let them spoil, they'll probably turn to vinegar or wine. Usually vinegar if you don't put the right yeast in. But grapes will probably by themselves turn into wine because they have the right bacteria right on the skin. But if you leave meat in the bag and go back in a few days and look at it, there's just all these bugs and parasites, and it stinks so bad you can't even imagine who in the world would even eat this stuff. Yes, I know it doesn't stink so bad when you get it at the store, but actually if you look at meat, even when it's fresh and smell it, it doesn't smell good. It doesn't. I mean, the animals usually have open sores and parasites on them even when they're being butchered. They're not healthy anyway. And there's all kinds of antibiotics and all these terrible, evil things that's in the meat. So there's a reason why to get rid of meat. Meat eating is allowed in the Bible because up until the end, about 70 AD, we were still under this law. They were still at Jerusalem. People were still going by the law and this old covenant, which was, our Bible says sacrifice, but it just means slaughter. It means you got life by eating an animal's life. A life for a life. You got temporary life by eating their flesh. Now we're under a new covenant, and we don't kill. And it's instead of eye for an eye, it's given you shall receive. Love. And pure, raw fruit is really, really good for you, and nuts. Now, think about the word raw. Why do they call it raw? Because it's R-A. It's light. It's energy. It's real food. See, the tree, they have roots, go way down, pull up the water. Water is living minerals and structure to build your body. The sun is shining, that energy, and the leaves are like little antennas, and they just absorb all that energy. And that plant is a certain vibration. You could see it like X-ray vision, where you'd see it's like little spirals and vibration. And plants have the right vibration that your body needs to make it hum, harmonize it, to turn it on. Meat, when that animal dies, it's full of fear. There is no good vibrations there. It is death, and it will kill you. I hope you understand what I'm saying. You're getting all these bad vibrations, and those vibrations are, it's kind of like throwing a stick or something in a tire, or like a bicycle wheel that's going around, and you get a stick in between the spokes, and it'll break the stick, and the guy will crash. You get a cog in the wheel, right? Well, you have a harmonious vibration, swirling vortice, and you need to eat vortices, other energies, vibrations that will harmonize with your body, living vibrations. Death will kill you. So there's another part of the equation, but the first thing you got to do is get rid of the poisons and get your bowel movement again. But anyway, I think I'll probably go ahead and start heading back now, guys, but I really hope you guys understand what I'm saying. I'd like to tell you a lot more about how I've been experimenting with all of this, and I didn't understand it myself, and I've been, Paul has helped me to understand this. She's a healer. Paul is the most amazing person you'll ever know. She's healed many people, and she's sort of an expert on the gut, and she's kind of put this all in perspective for me. I think I was just telling her last night, the knowledge that her and I have right now, and now you all have it, you know, in a nutshell. And if you want to ask more questions, you certainly can. But this knowledge that I just explained to you is 100, maybe 1,000 times better than anything a doctor would know. So medicine as it is in the United States and most of the world, modern medicine, is 1,000 times wrong. Everything they do is wrong. They do not heal. They do not cure. They will cut things off. Never fixes anything. Just makes you missing a part. You end up with a tube up your nose and you just die slowly and they drain your bank account. All right, so then what other kind of medicine do we have? Well, you might have the old, good old boy medicine, which is just, you know, get some rest, fast or something. They don't know much, you know, do a little fasting, eat better, try to, you know, get some sunshine, drink a little more water. That's not enough. You don't know enough there. You're not getting it. It's not going to be enough to, you know, get all of this that you need to get done. I Ching medicine, or Eastern Chinese medicine, is probably 100 times better than modern medicine. And indeed, that kind of medicine can heal you. However, what I've just explained to you is 10, 20, 100 times even better than that. Because no one's ever fully understood what we've just mentioned today. If you can figure out how the gut works, what's causing this gut to slow down and then putrefy and cause infection, leaky gut, the liver will heal. I don't care who you are, I don't care how old you are. Get your bowels moving, lose the weight, eat good food and water, and it will heal. I promise you. All right, guys, we head back to the old cycle, and oh, look at all those beautiful cliffs over there. Oh, goodness. So beautiful. All right, guys. I love you. Lord loves you all. And you know His grace and His peace will be with you. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.